whispers inside the room. Oh, the Plum Island Horror, where the whispers never end.
Hey everybody, it's Doug here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my next playthrough. This time we're going to be playing, as you saw, the game The Plum Island Horror. Now, if you watch my channel a lot, you probably know that I like games like this, like almost tower defense style type games. It reminds me a lot of Dawn of the Zeds or something like that, where there's a constant wave of terror coming your way in the form of monsters or zombies or something. You have to save civilians and wrestle your heroes into getting things done and all kinds of cool stuff. This one has a lot going on, actually. I think you're going to be surprised at the amount, if you haven't already seen this game, the amount of stuff that goes on. I have done a big portion of the setup, but we're going to walk through, in this episode, we're going to walk through the setup, and we'll walk through some of the things mechanically, and we'll talk about, maybe get to a first turn. We'll see how it goes. But I also want to do some of the components of setup that I think would be more interesting to you, so you can see how they go. But here's the rule book. It's not a huge rule book, but it is a lot, actually. There's a lot going on in the game. It's quite surprising. And I like how it's done on this paper. I did the intro similar to the way the book's done, almost like a comic book style. But I thought it was interesting. Anyway, so obviously we're going to go through some steps of the setup. I've already done this. I didn't do the faction piece yet. We're going to do that right now as we move through this process. I played the game board. There it is. It's huge. It's massive. It's right there. And again, this reminds me of some other games I've played that I really enjoyed. So I think I'm really going to like this. I'm probably going to make some mistakes because there's a lot going on. So just a lot going on in the game. And when you play solo, you play with two factions. And when I say two factions, you'll understand what that means in just a moment. So these are the factions right here. There's a faction playmat, which we have right here. What I'm going to do is they're blank on the back, so I'm going to shuffle them up. And this is probably the wrong way to play, right way to lose. But instead of picking my factions, I'm going to randomize the two factions that we're going to have. It's going to be completely random, and I won't know what they are. And I hope you're okay with that. I was going to put up a poll, see if people want to pick, but I think random is interesting, right? We'll see. We'll see if you can pick randomly and still have a winner. So let's pick our first one. It's going to be the Greenport Township. And I'll talk about all their abilities and what this means and what it means to have a compound, for example, down here, and how each character works. But I'll put that out for right now. That mat goes out, and then we got one more to go. And we'll see which one it is. And hopefully it's something that's very, gives me good offense. Let's see. This is going to be a weird one, I think. This is the Islanders Athletics Club. So we got some golfers and the people in the town. That's going to be really, really interesting. So what we're going to do then is the next thing I'm going to do is get out there all their standees, and they all go on specific spaces. So we'll start there. So you can see that Coach Sid Calhoun. By the way, there's a lot of pop culture references in here. If you get them, great. You'll get some. You won't get some others. It says that the start. It's going to start at 4K, the VFW Memorial Park. So they're all going to start at different locations. I'm not going to go through each location. I'm just going to get them on the board, so I'll be right back. Okay, now we have all of our heroes out on the board. They're ready to get going. Now, one more thing that we do in this part of the setup is we're going to determine, we get these tokens that are going to go in this lovely bag. This is an action draw, like bag system, like Aeon's End does this. And it's very similar. Now, in the bag, we're going to have a couple of things. We're going to have 3 fate tokens. See, it says fate, draw a fate card. And then when we draw these, we're going to activate a fate card. Fate cards activate the enemies and do things like that. Then we're going to have also something called the Doom token, which is going to have us draw an event card. They're never good from what I understand. And I do know they're no, well, what I've seen, they're no good. I haven't seen all of them. And then we have each of our faction tokens. They're going to go into the bag. And when we're drawing those, we're going to mix them all up. And when we draw those, we're going to be drawing and taking actions as a faction. Now, what's interesting is that in the first part of the game, you only get one. And in fact, this is on track, so I can show this to you, I believe. And so, yes, this is the round track where we're going to manage our turns and some other stuff. And I'll run through this real quickly. This is the game round marker. As you can see, we're going to start on October 25th, the morning of the flood. Now, in the town, a huge flood has come by and washed it out, but it's being followed by a vast amount of undead. And you'll learn more about the flood in a moment as we continue our setup. But this little red marker here is how many actions each faction gets when their turn comes up. So in this first morning round, we're only going to get one action, but we can do something called a follow action. And that allows our other faction to go. We can go up to 2 more times, but every time we do, we have to draw a fate card to see if we draw an event. If the fate card says we don't, then we don't. If it says we do, and it's bad. So follow actions are a risk-reward system. Otherwise, we just get the one action per faction. There's something called an adrenaline move, which allows us to use the foot movement of each character, and I'll go over that too, in that phase when you're activating that faction. Otherwise, you have to spend an action, like if you want to do vehicular movement or something like that, you have to do an action. And it would take the whole action. When we get to the afternoon of October 25th, we're going to get 2, and then at night we're going to get 3, and some other bad stuff's going to happen. And you can see we got to survive 9 rounds and not have all the lose conditions happen, which are overruns and some other stuff. It's just bad. Okay, one of the lose conditions is actually this biohazard track. And also, this shows you how many stacks of creatures are going to be coming out when they're replenished. So as you can see, for the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so the whole first row, we're going to put out 3 more monsters in a stack. Okay, and then after it gets to turn 9, it's going to jump to 4, and then it's going to go to 4 until the end. If this ever gets to here, says it right there, game over. So how do we get biohazards? That's a great question. Well, there's this biohazard bag right here. It is filled right now with green cubes that are all clear, no problem. But every time we go into hand-to-hand combat with undead or monsters or whatever they are, I'm going to assume they're zombies. I think they're zombies. And that's what I did in the introduction too. We're going to have to also put one of these cubes in the bag. If we draw a yellow cube, we're going to do all the yellow cubes first. There's 14 in each of these piles. We're going to do 14 of those hand-to-hand combats. For every time then when we're told we have to draw a cube, which is going to be at the end of every full round, this track is going to go up. If we draw a yellow cube. If we draw a green cube, we're fine. But it's going to keep going up that way. When we run out of these, we're going to start putting these red ones in the bag. Those are 2. Those mean it goes up twice. That's really bad for us, right? So that's how that works. It's really straightforward. I like the mechanic. I like just throwing cubes in the bag, drawing them out. Makes a lot of sense. It's easy to track and easy to follow. So the next thing we have are overruns. Now, overruns happen when a creature gets to a certain location at the end of the track and overruns it. And then they're worth a certain amount of overrun points. There's a little chart for that. If we ever get to where the overrun points have totaled 8 or more, we lose the game. It's very simple. Mandatory evacuation points. Okay, once we've gotten to here, we have evacuated 26 points. We have evacuated the minimum number of mandatory evacuations we have. We've gotten enough civilians out. We can save the day. Yippee, that's awesome. However, if we don't do that, we can't win. So we have to do that. And this doesn't mean we automatically win. We still have to survive the 9 rounds of the game. Now, what is this little chart here? It says Murder of Horrors hit chart. That's what every stack is called, by the way. It's called a Murder of Horrors. There's nothing on it, really. It's just that. It's some kind of zombie monster horde that's coming with the flood and coming to attack us. And the way this works is that there's also some math you can do. I can show you how to do the math, but the chart's a lot easier. Depending on the number of tiles you have, when they're in a clear area, forest area, or building area, they're going to do a certain amount of damage. So our stacks right now are 4 total, which means they're going to do 2 in a clear area, 2 in a forest, but only 1 in a building, 1 damage. And our folks have health and hit points that you'll be able to see later. And these big pile of black cubes are health cubes. Now, I don't remember. I think if you run out of these, you also lose the game. I don't remember because I think everybody would be dead. But if it's what it is if your one faction is completely wiped out, you're done. All right. So that is, now I know that was a lot to take in because all I did was put out some new guys and talk about the turn order. But there's a lot more to cover in this game, and there's quite a bit of setup actually. Just so you know, the one thing I need to do is I need to add supplies to. I still need to add supplies to the faction boards. Each group gets 2 supplies to start with, so I'm going to do that now, so I do not forget about it. Supply tokens are like this. Supplies do 2 things. During the night phase, I think at the end of the night phase, we have to eat. We have to have a supply for each of the people in our faction. But in addition, when you do a ranged attack, ranged combat, that you actually spend a supply. Similar to, it's like this game took a whole bunch of cool mechanics from really cool games. But that's something that happens in Dawn of the Zeds. You use supplies and bullets and ammo to do things, right? It's very similar. So that's that part of setup. And again, I'll go over characters as we activate them or do something with them instead of try to do it all up front. It would take forever if we did it all up front. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add NPC units to the board. I've already done that. There's only one out on the board right now. The other 2 go to the side. I'll show you that real quick. Now here you can see the only NPC unit we have on the board is going to be the Shore Patrol. He's right here. And let's just go over why we're doing this. Let's go over stats because I do want you to understand the game. Now, again, I don't label my games as tutorials or instructional, but I basically am doing that right now. I just know that I'm going to make mistakes. That's why I don't like to do that, because I will make some errors and I'll hopefully catch them. And hopefully you will too. So the background's the color. You can see the color on the mat is the same, matches this. The 4 right there is going to be their, the green 4 is their admin points. Admin points, when we do something like, when we try to evacuate people, try and move them, things like that, that's when this number is going to come into play. Is their admin skill. In other words, do they have the ability to administrate things like an evacuation, etc.? This number here, the red number, is going to be their bravery. Bravery is basically how many dice they roll in combat, is what it comes down to. I think there might be some other effects to it. That's what it is. This is their foot movement right here. And one thing you don't see on this board here on these faction guys is vehicle movement. They don't have any, but there is another spot on the main characters that's black with a wheel that shows a number. That is vehicle movement. And then, of course, their health. And now there's a cool mechanic with their bravery as well. The bravery is also when they get down, like if they die, let's say they hit 3, we're going to draw a fate card. And if they equal or better this number, they don't die and they come. I don't know if that's true. I got to look up the NPCs. I don't know if they do. But they don't die, but they do recover 1 wound. So there's a chance that they may not die. And that guy starts right here. You notice he's here with another token. This is actually the Alyssa. It's a Navy ship that's there to help. We also have a Viking cruise ship called the Cheyenne Sky, and that is here. We can use those. They're actually in the water. I'll put them out there. They're in the water. We can use those to evacuate people. There's a couple other things off to the side we may need later. The Texas Navy, of course, Texas, and the Army Hog, right? And those are some things that could appear depending on event cards, things like that. But if you look at the faction board here, and it does show you what the stats are. I could have just pointed this to you. But like I said, as I told you, the characters also have this stat right here. So that stat is the vehicle movement. Okay, so plus that's a close combat number right there. So that's what the dice is we're rolling with close combat. It's 3. That's their bravery doesn't determine that. It's the yellow number. I'm sorry. So it's this number here that determines that. Anyway, you can see that there's 2 factions that are not yet on the board. They may never come out. It depends on what cards we draw and what things happen in the game. So that they might come from when we're searching for things, we might uncover one of these guys. I really hope we get the hero of the day. He or she is really tough. So I hope we get that. But that gives you a little understanding. Now, each of these also has special asymmetrical abilities, which is really cool. But that's why I said there's a lot that happens in the game. Now, something else that I already did was this. I added civilians to the board. You can see all these little blue tokens out here. They all have names on them. Like this is the Gene, the Dancing Machine Studio group of people right here, and they have. I can look at them. It's not a mystery, but they have a value on the back, and that value equates to the number of evacuation points. And as we lose people, we run the risk of not evacuating enough people. It's really bad, right? So that can happen. We will lose people. There's no question about it. That's part of the game. But we've got a bunch of them out. I've put them all out at random on the board. You can see them. There's 8 that aren't in the on the board right now. The total, those 8 could show up later. Okay. The next thing we do is we place them the tokens in the draw bag. I already did that. We did that already. I already described how the cubes work to you, so that's good. We have these 3 decks: the fake card, the event card, and the search cards. We already did that. And then we spawn our horror units. Okay. I've already spawned them. There's 4, basically there's going to be 4 on each track. I'll show you what the tracks look like now. This is a huge board, by the way. So way up here, track 1 through track 6, and we're going to activate these. There's 4 horrors on them now, horrors. I'm going to call them zombies because I don't want to say the horrors over and over again and have that come out of my mouth wrong. So these zombies are going to march this way. They're going to take different tracks. They're going to do terrible things. If they come into contact with anybody on the board, that includes civilians, there's going to be a fight, a combat, and you do combats in order backwards. I don't know why that matters, but maybe it does, so we'll make sure we try to do that. But if there's a civilian there, and like this stack right here is in a building, they're going to do 1 point. That's enough to kill any civilian unit. Doesn't matter what the value of that civilian unit is. So I turned them all upside down for the fun of it. We'll discover them as we go. But all the civilian units have been placed out. All the horrors are on the track. The zombies, they're coming for us now. The next thing I did, and I've already done, is to place the mutation board out. I'll show you that right now. Again, like the NPC units and some of those special units I showed you, we may never see these guys. We probably will see 1 or 2 of them, but we may not see them. These are units that will come on the board that are gross. They have special powers and abilities. They do terrible things to us. It's no fun. So just so you know, they each have their own stats, their own special abilities, and their own way of activating and doing things on the board. They also, you can see that they move differently than the monsters do. Now, one thing I didn't talk about is how the monsters move. The monsters move based on the how big their stack is. Actually, I think this is correct. Yeah, this is for all of them, right? This is, yeah, murder movement allowance. Okay, so if there's 3 tiles, 1 to 3 tiles in the area, they're going to move 3 spaces. 4 to 6 are going to move 2. 7 plus tiles are going to move 1. The theory is, of course, and then at night they're going to get an extra +1 to their movement. The theory is the bigger they are, the more lumbersome they are, the slower they move. Of course, these guys are 1. They have their own movement speed, so as you can see on their cards. So on their tiles. So we're going to get to see them in action as they come out. It'll be interesting and probably devastating. This is one of those games where you're likely to lose, but it's a lot of fun losing when you do. Then I did go over this with you. I went over the placing all the markers down, getting all the cubes out, and then we're going to do this. This is actually something we have to do. Now, I already did this part here. Here on the island light and power, we have this special marker that shows that there's no power being provided to the town. However, if we can repair that location, we can flip this over, and we're going to get 5 supplies. That goes to each faction. That's huge. So to do that, we have to repair the damage. Currently, there's 3 damage on that space. And we do what's called a repair action. And through that repair action, I believe we use our this number here as part of it, but it's also the faction draw. And we're going to be at, like, I think if you roll a 3 to 5, I'll look it up, you repair this number. Which means I put him, he was the only one that could be placed anywhere. I put him on the power plant there to get it started and get it fixed. I think that's a good thing to do. However, we still have something we have to do, and this is area damage. It says the following areas also have damage 2 markers placed on them. So I'm going to go do that right now, but just for reference, it's the Greenport Docks, the Coast Guard Station, the Old Republic Airport, the Good Samaritan Hospital, and the Oceanside Industrial Park. Why is that important? Well, because to use them to do things like evacuate or the people or use the abilities of the area, the areas can't be compromised, which means they can't have any monsters, zombies in it. They also can't have any damage. So I'm going to go get that damage out, but that's not going to be the end of it. Okay, now the storm, I told you, the storm, the flood, the horrible thing that came damaged these locations, and they're ready to go. And then I also have to put 2, which I haven't done yet, on the Great Bay Bridge. Now, we have to repair that to be able to evacuate people off the bridge. So that is done now as well. But the next part of this is we now have to go onto the storm damage, and that requires our very first fake card draw. So we're going to look at this and see which of these things happened when the storm hit. Like it's going to damage a bunch of things, and we're going to find out what that is. And to do that, we're going to draw a fake card. And again, these fake cards are all over the place. They have a whole bunch. They're multi-use cards, but we're only going to use, in this case, the very bottom number, which shows a number of 1 to 6. So let's see what we get. We're going to get this one. No, that doesn't matter. So it's going to be a 6. That's going to be, I think, the worst one we could have gotten. Good start, Doug. Okay. Yeah. Widespread damage. Place 2 damage markers on each even-numbered bridge and the Great South Bridge. So the Great South Bridge, I told you we put 2 damage on it. Now it has 4. So we're going to have to do some additional repair to get that done. But then we're going to go on each even-numbered bridge, and I'll tell you what that looks like. So here are the bridges. There are all these symbols here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go even, right? So we're going to have 2, and that's not 4, actually. We're going to do 4 is also going to have 2 damage. We put it right on the bridge there. We see 2, 4. Let's see, we're 6. 6. I should probably do this off camera for you because it takes a while to go through all this stuff. But 6, I'm just going along. Okay, 4 is here. This is the one thing about the game that's not thrilling. Is 6 right here? Is that why? Okay, that's why. 6 is right there. No, that's 5. 5 and 7. We're 6. Okay, I have to assume we're going to go across here until we find 6. Is it the big bridge? No, it doesn't say that. I don't know. I'm going to go find 6, y'all. I can't find bridge 6. Oh, that's 8. So 6 is up in here somewhere. Okay, well, here's 4. That's 4. That's 5. So 6 has got to be along here. So I'm going to go find it. I'll be right back. Okay, I think the game's messing with me. It must be the big bridge over there because that's the only one in the line, and I don't see a 6. So I do see an 8, though. So we'll put damage 2 marker there. It said every even one. And that's it because the last bridge is, I believe, if I go through it, is a 9, which is way down here. A very big bridge over the canal right here. There's 2. Oh, there's 6. It's the big canal bridge. Okay, I found it. It's right here. Okay, the canal, there's a canal that goes all the way up. This is beach area. Then the canal continues to go up here and a little bit around here. But the canal goes up and around, and you have to cross bridges to get over it. That's both good and bad because the zombies, when they hit those bridges, to get over them, they're going to not only remove the damage, the debris or whatever that's on it, they're going to take damage as well. So I don't know if that's the worst one or not. The tornado damage may have been worse. Who knows? But we have done that part, and now we have damage on all the bridges. And then we're going to do the last bit, which is the first contact. Okay, so what we're going to do is before the play begins, they must determine when the first contact with the horrors. So we're going to draw. Here's how this works. We're going to begin flipping fake cards, referencing only the active instructions section of each card. Ignore all the other sections of the card with each flip. Conduct the indicated section, R16. So we're just going to be moving, basically, the horrors until, so for example, we're not going to do this. We're just going to activate the track, right? And that track's going to move. And now, just explain it. Once we run into first contact with a civilian or player unit, then we've done that. We're going to kill something probably, and that's going to be the end of the activations for the monsters. So basically, that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we're going to activate our first one. Again, we're only going to be looking at the activation section, which is right here. So we're going to activate tracks 2 and 3. Now, we're going to activate both of those, even if they come into first contact. But if that does draw them into first contact, then we'll stop. And it's going to. Because track 2, now remember, they're a stack of 4, and I think, as I told you, a 4 is going to move 2. So actually, they're not going. They're going to go right here. So we're going to see these guys move to here. So they're close, and then these guys are going to move to here. Stacks of 4 move 2. So we are going to have to draw another one. Let's see what we get. Tracks 3 and 4. That's awesome. So here, we have now had first contact. Maybe I have to draw another fate card. And basically, 1 through 6, actually 1 or 6, it's going to go this way. 2 or 5, it's going to go that way. Let's see what we get. A 2. So these guys actually go 1, 2, and they have made first contact, killing Tyra's tax service. So tax accountants have been killed. I'm going to put this off to the side. It's just a 1-point civilian, luckily, but that was first contact. However, we do have to activate track 4, Wait, I did that wrong. Sorry. My bad. It's supposed to be track 4 and 5. So we're going to move that one back up there. We'll put the civilian back. Track 4 is going to move 1, 2, and encounter this guy, actually. So just want to make sure we're doing that right. We're only doing the activate spot. So again, it's a 1-point civilian. It is Bates Motel staff, so that's okay because Norman Bates needed to go anyway. And then we're going to move 5. It is going to move 2 as well. And now we have done our first contact. And what you do then is you take these cards and you shuffle them back into the deck. So we're going to do that. And now we have officially set up and we can start to take our turns. I'll go over the turn order with you guys real quick. We may get in a turn. I may wait till next time. I'm sure this has been a long video. I don't like them to be too long. And let's do that first. And if we feel we have enough time, we'll take a turn. Here is our beautiful reference card. So now this part here, the hunger phase is only going to happen on the night round where we need to spend supplies. So we're going to ignore that. But basically, we're going to spend a supply for each unit that we have that's still around and kicking. Now, it also includes civilians who are in our compound. I didn't talk about compounds, but each of our faction have a compound that they can build and place on the board that gives them special abilities. We'll probably do it pretty quickly. And it also gives a place where we can store civilians. And if the civilians are there at the end of the game, the compound's still there, and we get to the 9th round, then they count toward our total of mandatory evacuation points. So that's good. Then we're going to go to 2. We're going to draw a turn order token and take and do what it says. Basically, we're going to resolve the turn order token. If it's a fate token, we're going to draw a fate card and do all the stuff on it. If it's an impending doom token, we're going to draw an event card, which is not good. That's the black token. And the faction token means one of our colors, and then we're going to get to do these steps. We're going to take that crisis adrenaline step, which I told you about, which allows us to do each unit to activate 1 free foot movement. Then we're going to get our player actions. These consist of move, combat, crowd control, evacuate, repair, build, compound, use a location action, heal, faction use, and special actions. Okay, and then we're going to get to do a follow action. So starting with the player to the left of the active player, non-active players may then take a follow action. A follow action equals a player action except faction special actions plus reposition. If the follow action is taken, we have to draw an event. Now, in a solo game, you get to take 2 follow actions, period. And it doesn't matter which units you use. You just suffer the consequence of maybe needing to draw a card. And then after we've done all that for our activation, we're going to go to the end phase. That's when we activated all of the tokens. We're going to replenish locations. Now, what does that mean? That's in the night round. It means that when we go, there's some things we can do. We can search, as I think it's set up here, right? Where's it? Repair, where's search? Okay, well, we can search the location actions, right? We can search, we can forage, we can do some stuff up there. We can get supplies, and we can also search for cool stuff, right? So we can do those. And certain locations, they're on the board. When we go back to the board and I take one of those actions, I'll show you. Then we're going to do the mutation regeneration step. And that means if these clowns are on the board, they're going to heal 1, so they're tougher. And then we're going to do the biohazard infection step, which is we're going to draw 2 cubes out of the bag. If they're both green, whatever comes out. At first, they're only green, but after a couple hand-to-hand combats, we'll have some yellow ones in there. Then we're going to refill the turn order bag and start all over again. Advance the round marker and go. Now, repairs. Here's the thing about repairs. We're going to draw a fate card, and if we fail, then I think it does more damage. If we do repairs underway, we just get to do some of it and spend supplies. This one, you've got skills for a damaged area or bridge. Remove damage markers equal to your admin rating. That's pretty good. You notice there's no cost to supplies here, but there is here. And then 6, we're just heroes. We're awesome, and we repair the thing completely in 1 shot. So hopefully we get some 6s. Overruns. Like if the Great South Bridge is overrun, there's an asterisk there. I think that means we might lose the game or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'll look at it. It's worth 6 points toward our overrun. That's really bad. That's almost losing the game, considering we can only have 8 points of overrun. So if we have that and those 2 things overrun, the game's over. Then dice effects. We do roll dice in this game, and we have close combat and range combat dice. They mean slightly different things. Really, the big thing is that shields in range combat count as hits. And then it also talks about some of the special civilian VIPs that might come out should a fate card or so should a event or search deck determine that. And with that said, I do think I'm going to end it here because I want to do the full round when we go through it, and that means I want to go through every token. So we're going to wait, and in the next episode, which will be very quick, by the way, I'm not going to wait a long time to film it. We will do that. We will then get the faction tokens and go and have a blast and see if we can survive. I mean, look at all these tracks that have already moved. That's crazy. You know, a lot of them don't have, like, just so you know, I'll reshuffle this, but a lot of them just have one track. I just didn't get that lucky. Look at that. And surges are worse and all that stuff. I didn't get those, but multiple tracks moving on I think all but one of the cards. So, or all the cards. So that's pretty bad. That's not what we want, how we wanted to start, because we're already pressured by the oncoming enemies that are coming through the town. There is a chance that they might move this way or that way as well, based on some events or something like that. We'll see how that goes. But we're ready to go. The town is under attack. I don't know where all the military and police people went. They're all gone. So we're just going to have the people of the town and an athletics club to defend our lives. I mean, literally, except for, well, there's the shore patrols there. Literally, the other factions have military units in it. I just didn't draw them. So that's the way it goes. I think it's still going to be a blast, especially with these two weird factions. And they do have special abilities we got to keep track of and use effectively. We got a doctor and a paramedic, fireman, who can act as a healer, so that's good. But I'll see you in the next episode, and I hope you're getting ready to enjoy the Plum Island Horror. I think it's going to be a blast. Take care, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye-bye.